The first time we thought there was a problem, we went for a scan, for our 12-week scan. I was told at that scan that I had an amniotic band, which I'd never heard of, and nobody could actually tell me or talk to me about it for possibly about 4 to 6 weeks, because the consultant was on his holidays and it was rare and nobody knew anything about it.
We went to Harley Street and spoke to a doctor at Harley Street, Donald Gibb, and he done a scan and reassured us that the bands were making no difference to Jude's growth and everything was fine at that point, and that was at 30 weeks.
I felt perfectly normal through the whole pregnancy. Didn't have any sickness, didn't have anything, felt healthy, just really good. When we first realised there was a problem was when I woke up one morning on my left-hand side, and throughout my entire pregnancy, Jude had never let me lay on my left-hand side. He would always kick me and wiggle, and within seconds I would instantly know that he wanted me to move. So when I woke up that morning on my left side, first thing I thought was that was very strange, but never occurred to me there was a problem. I just moved onto my back and held my tummy and waited for him to sort of wake up with me. And we went to the hospital and we were just expecting to be told everything's fine, you know, just go home, it's okay, you'll have your baby soon. We saw a midwife who listened to my stomach and she couldn't hear anything. And it was at that point that I could sense that kind of initial panic coming over me. So she went to get the ultrasound and she still couldn't find a heartbeat. And that's when she just sort of told us that our baby had died. I didn't believe it to start with. I thought she was wrong. She had to be wrong, because in my pregnancy everything had been pretty normal. I'd done everything by the book. I'd been like as good as you could be when you're sort of nurturing a child. That she had to be wrong, you know. I thought I would have known if he'd died, you know. It just didn't sit comfortably with me, but I think I just didn't want to believe it.
So Lynn was given a tablet to take to induce a pregnancy, and we went home on the Thursday, and the following morning Lynn went into labour. We went into hospital.
And even at that point, even though I knew that I hadn't felt him move, I still somewhere believed that this was just all ridiculous and that it would be perfectly all right. And just then being taken into a special room for parents who have to give birth to stillborn children.
Lynn gave birth to Jude, and I think I'd been relatively strong up until that point, and I kind of broke down and didn't deal with it or cope with it very well.
Until I saw him and held him for myself, I was always clinging on to that little bit of hope that he'd still cry.
But I always remember how nice a day it was, and that, you know, beautiful sunny summer's day, and I was sitting with my stillborn son in my arms, and I couldn't have cared less about anything else in the world at that point. Probably the worst 24 hours of my life.
The hospital afterwards was appalling, really. It was almost as though, right, well, that's happened, we can't do anything now, we just need to get you home and just move you on, really. We were handed to another lady, I suppose a kind of grief counsellor, who was just very patronising, didn't really understand at all. Sent us home with a leaflet, and that was it. That was all the help we had. We held him, and I held him close, probably still in my heart of hearts, thinking that he would take a breath, but and he just looked perfectly normal, perfect little boy. And then we were allowed to sort of hold him and spend as much time as we wanted with him.
When we lost Jude, we felt that there was no counselling. There's a leaflet, read it, don't worry about it, you can always have another baby. I had a business partner that actually turned round to me, an ex-business partner, who turned round to me and said, you know, tell Lynn to get over it, people have been through worse. But that is the perception. You know, people that don't have children, the general public, 6,500 babies dying every year in this country.
The hospital had given us this suite, which was obviously a grieving suite. It had a delivery room in it, and off that it had a double bedroom, and it also had a little room off the delivery suite, which was where Jude was kept in a cold room.
I went through to get Jude into this room and couldn't find him, and sort of like turned out the corner of my eye, I saw this fridge, just a normal fridge like you would have in your house. And when I opened the fridge, Jude was in the fridge, and my heart sank at that point, and I just thought, can things get any worse? I took Jude home, much to the annoyance of the hospital at the time, but I took him home, and we spent the last couple of days that we had with Jude in his nursery. He's seen his nursery. We had him at home for a couple of days before the funeral, and yeah, that's still very, very vivid in my mind, and it probably will be to the day I die.
That are so vibrant and so lovely, and then you find out what actually has gone on in their lives, and it pulls the heartstrings. And when you find out a bit more about stillbirth and neonatal death, and that it happens frequently, 17 kids a day, you know, how can you not want to be involved? Just to raise as much awareness as possible, because if we can impact a future family, then that's a win-win.
Largely just as a parent, knowing the kind of pressures that parents go through, coming up to that very crucial time just before birth, and more importantly just after birth. So anything that I could do to help out, I thought, yeah, I would. The foundation was set up primarily to raise funds and awareness for stillborn children, and for families having to deal with it.
It's something very dear to my heart, because I've had a similar situation with a younger brother who 15 minutes after he was born, unfortunately he died.
The Jude Brady Foundation came about because of basically a fundraising day we had after Jude died. I felt that I had to do something to help me come to terms with Jude's death. So got a few friends together and we had a golf day. And at that golf day, which was a bit spur of the moment, we raised £6,000, and we enjoyed it that much that we thought, let's do it again the following year.
I've seen its growth, not only since my involvement, but through other people that have come together to make this a professional setup now. It's really getting bigger, and we can actually see where we're going, which is great. And we've quadrupled funds that we got years ago. We're already sort of doubled and tripled every year, which is great.
Hopefully it can be massive. Every year we have raised the bar with money that we've raised for the charity. So who's to say, hopefully we can raise it beyond all belief.
As a parent, I think that, having a child stillborn would be nothing worse, and maybe the only thing worse would be to not have the support around you to help you deal with that. And I've learned in life, generally speaking, that quite often we're resilient to the initial fact, but it's the bit afterwards that makes all the difference. And I think if you've got a network of people around you, whether it be information, in some cases support might be financial, sometimes it might just be emotional support, that it can make a huge difference. And even though a lot of the money that we raise eventually will go into research and to help with stuff like that, some of it will be to do with general support. And it does mean an awful lot to me to be able to do that for parents up and down the UK.
In 5 or 10 years' time, I'd like to think that our charity will be in a position to make a difference to not just 1 or 2 people's lives a year, maybe 3 or 4, but hundreds of people's lives a year. We want to raise the profile of stillbirth. It's still a very huge priority for me. People need to know that there's 6,500 babies dying every year in this country, and the more people that get on board and start supporting us and taking this message to the government and all the rest of it, then maybe there's a chance that something will happen. I would love, in Jude's sort of like memory, his legacy, to have actually made a difference.